The purpose of a hunting test for retrievers is to test the merits and evaluate the abilities of retrievers in the field in order to determine their suitability as hunting companions. Dogs are expected to retrieve any type of game bird under all conditions. That's how the rule book describes the hunting test for retrievers. But there's much more. The tests give owners a chance to qualify their dogs for a junior, senior, or master hunting title. And these are the only testing titles that can be carried on your dog's AKC pedigree. Now, the dogs do not compete against one another. They are scored only according to an established definition of performance in 5 categories: marking, style, nose, perseverance, and trainability. The average of these scores is then calculated to find out whether a dog gets a qualifying score toward the title it's seeking. With a few exceptions, such as bitches in season, all AKC registrable retrievers, 6 months and older, are eligible to be tested. The tests themselves try to simulate the actual conditions you'll find when you're hunting in your own part of the country. Pass or fail, testing your retriever gives you the chance to have your dog evaluated, to discover areas that need improvement, and swap stories with other hunting dog lovers. All right, let's get right into the first test. For a retriever to qualify in the junior hunting test, the dog must pass a minimum of 4 single marking tests, 2 on land and 2 in the water. For the first test, the judges have created a single landmark. In fact, they've simulated a dove hunt. Now see how you would evaluate the dogs running in this junior hunting test. For the test, the bird thrower is to the right of the handler. When the bird is thrown and shot, it should fall between 40 and 100 yards out on the knoll. The uphill lie and heavy field grass add to the difficulty of this test. Now, the wind is coming in from the right, and note that the official gunners are positioned to the right and left of the dog handler. In all junior hunting tests, the handler may restrain the dog. The first dog, a golden retriever, heads straight out, taking a fine line from the handler. The first hunting ability the judges score for this dog is marking, or memory. Marking is the ability of a dog to accurately pinpoint and remember the location of a downed bird, and to then quickly and systematically hunt it out. When a dog searches at the same general distance as this golden is doing, it's a good bet she did a good job marking the fall. And there it is. The dog finds the bird and brings it back, showing lots of style and enthusiasm. This dog will probably receive a good score, but even if she doesn't, there will be more chances to bring her score up to the average needed to qualify. In order for a dog to receive a qualifying score, it must not have earned an average grade lower than 5 out of a possible 10 for any one of the 5 abilities. In addition, the dog must get an overall average of 7 or more on all 5 hunting skills. Okay, let's watch the second dog run. As you may already know, the judges are selected by the sponsoring club. By necessity, they must have considerable hunting experience, so they can set up tests that simulate real hunting conditions. Now, this lab is showing good style and perseverance. He's got the bird, picks it up, and brings it home. As the third dog gets ready to run, let's talk a little about the gunners. The sponsoring club should try to get the very best wing shooters available. This helps with the conservation of game and keeps that bird budget in line. Okay, there he goes. The dog is sent and takes a good, solid line from the handler. He knows he's in the right area. His nose tells him that, but he just can't seem to find it. Ah, there he's got it. Picks it up and brings it back. I noticed that in all AKC hunting tests, the handler does not shoot a gun. In the senior and master tests, they will be required to shoulder or carry an empty gun, but all the shooting is done by designated gunners. And while none of these dogs pinned the mark, probably due to the uphill fall and the density of the cover, All three definitely would have received good scores on this test. Retrievers must perform equally well on the land and in the water, and must be thoroughly tested on both. This junior water test simulates a couple of hunters hunting ducks on a very small body of water. Now, this is a good test for the dog, and a dog that does perform well in the water has a positive effect on game conservation. You must retrieve every bird you down, and that's the dog's job. This Irish Water Spaniel performs well in all categories for this test. Nothing can beat the face of a happy, well-trained dog using his abilities to please his handler. Now then, on to the seniors. To qualify in a senior test, a dog must pass a minimum of 4 tests: a single land blind, a single water blind, a double landmark, and a double watermark. At least one of these situations should include a walk-up. As we move from the test created for the junior qualifiers to the seniors, notice how the difficulty of the tests increase accordingly. These retrievers earn their AKC hunting titles. Oh, and one more point. The junior, senior, and master classifications indicate the difficulty level of the tests. They have nothing to do with the age of the dog. In this test, a double landmark, which includes quartering for the flush, the judges have instructed the handler and shooters to move through the field in an L pattern. This puts the wind in the proper direction when the flush is made. The dog must remain steady to shot and retrieve only when sent by the handler. The judges will be in a position to see the quartering, the flush, and the retrieve in this test that simulates a chucker partridge hunt.
Forward.
How would you score the first dog running the test? As we follow the dog, let's talk a little bit about nose. Nose is a term used to describe the dog's ability to scent out the location of a fallen bird. The judges must be very careful when scoring this skill because of the many factors that affect scenting conditions. Most retrievers have a good nose, and these tests give them an ample opportunity to demonstrate it.
Heel. Heel.
We've showed you only one of the 2 birds in this test. How did you score the dog? Here's what one judge put down: 10 for marking, an 8 for style, 9 for nose, a 10 for perseverance, and a 10 for trainability. No one could argue with that last score. The dog was very responsive to each cast of the handler and steady to shot. As we follow the second dog on this test, a word about style. Style makes for a pleasing performance and is apparent in every movement of the dog. It is reflected in its manner, eagerness, and speed on retrieves. Style includes an alert attitude, a fast and determined departure, an aggressive search, and a prompt and fast return. There's the handler's nightmare. The dog seemingly broke and flushed the second bird. Now, did the dog break or did the bird flush wild? Should the dog be penalized in this case? The judges may have trouble scoring this one, and in situations like this, the need for qualified judges becomes apparent. Here's a senior water test that should be lots of fun and a real challenge to the dogs. It's a water double and a blind. The first bird is released on the right and should fall into the water about 30 yards from the line. 2 shots will be fired, one after the other, to simulate a real duck hunting situation. The second retrieve is thrown from the island and will land about 50 yards from the line. The handler then has the option of sending the dog to either bird. To make the test even more interesting and difficult, a bird will be placed here at the tip of the island. A diversion shot will be fired as the dog returns with the second bird. Innovative, creative testing, an AKC trademark. This senior water double and a blind will give the judges many opportunities to check the dog's abilities. The First bird is released.
Hey. No.
2 shots are fired,
Hook.
and the dog is sent on the first retrieve. Water tests are usually a great place to showcase a retriever's perseverance. Perseverance is shown by a dog's willingness to stick to it and complete the job, no matter what obstacle stands in the way. A lack of perseverance is shown if the dog stops hunting, switches birds, or continues hunting in a slow, lackadaisical manner.
Come on, let's go here.
This dog did a good job and completes the first retrieve. He's working on a good score so far. As he takes a good line to that second bird, take a look at this dog's style. He moves quickly through the water. His tail is up. He looks eager to please.
Come on, buddy. Here. Here.
There's the diversion shot, but the dog remains steady. Had he become excited and re-entered the water or stopped the retrieve, his score would have been seriously affected.
Leave it. Dead bird.
The handler does a good job here, making sure the dog is ready with its full attention on the task at hand before sending it out after the blind.
Hook.
The dog's sent. Oh, but wait. He seems to have taken the wrong line. After grabbing a little drink of water, he shows excellent trainability by looking back for directions. A dog that responds to his handler's directions is very valuable, especially if he misses the mark and has to be brought back to the fall. Okay, he looks back again and then eagerly heads toward the blind. And this dog shows good style and perseverance, and so far has an excellent score.
Attaboy.
A little nose work helps pick up the scent. And the dog returns with the blind. The handler really couldn't have asked for much more from the dog on this test. He did an excellent job and earned a very good score.
Come on, bud. Good dog.
Now, this next dog is a big, powerful Chesapeake Bay Retriever. It's actually walking in the same water the other dog swam in. At first glance, the judges might want to give him a lower score on style, but they probably noticed that walking through a muddy bottom seldom produces flashy moves.
No.
This big Chessie successfully retrieved the first and second birds and is ready to go for the third.
Dad.
This handler also does a good job. Make sure the dog is ready before sending him out. The dog easily passes up the decoys, heads immediately to the shore, and picks up the bird. Here's another interesting situation for the judges. The dog actually lined the blind. Trying to score him on trainability would be impossible. In this case, the judges would give a no score for this skill, but that's okay. A no score doesn't hurt the overall average. Remember earlier when the judges considered the muddy bottom when scoring the dog's style? Well, here it's apparent the dog is just not stylish, and the judges now might feel compelled to give it a lower score on that skill. Some of the other dogs did well on specific parts of the test. Here's a curly coat that's doing a reasonable job on the blind. He did have some problems with the first 2 birds, though. Something seems to have this dog a bit skittish today, and it will reflect on his scores for style and perseverance. As you know, dogs can have a bad day just as we do. All right, now on to the master hunting test, where the dog must be tested on a minimum of 5 hunting situations. These include a multiple mark on water, a multiple mark on land, a multiple mark on land and water with a diversion bird, a land blind, and a water blind. At least 1 hunting situation should include a walk-up, and at least 1 hunting situation should include a diversion shot, or shots. In this test, the judges have created a water double and a water blind, and continued to be creative by including some tracking and a diversion bird on land. The handler has been told this test will simulate a party hunting in 3 separate locations around this small body of water. The handler is instructed to send his dog to a point on shore immediately behind a large goose decoy. In fact, the bird has been trailed up the shore to a position higher up on the knoll in order to test the dog's tracking ability. As the dog returns with the bird and enters the water, another bird falls off to the left as a diversion. Now, when the dog returns the first bird, another duck appears to the right. This bird becomes the second retrieve. The diversion bird then is a memory bird and becomes the third and final retrieve. This flat-coated retriever is ready to run another fun and interesting test. As he is directed toward the blind and reaches the other side of the pond, he responds well to the whistles, but seems to have a little trouble continuing the handler's original line. In the master hunting tests, any dog that requires excessive handling on marks or blinds or refuses commands must be viewed in a little stricter light than junior or senior dogs. Remember that the tests are designed to be increasingly more difficult as the dogs move from junior to senior to master titles. There's the shot for the diversion bird, and the dog looks back to mark the fall. There are some other important differences between the junior, senior, and master tests. In the master, the dog may be sent to retrieve only once. There are no second casts. Here, the judges signal for the second bird down to the right. The handler pretends to shoot her empty gun and then sends the dog. He moves quickly and looks eager to make the retrieve. In fact, this dog shows good enthusiasm and style as he swims for the bird. While the dog retrieves that bird, the judge examines the first one. If a dog renders a bird unfit for consumption, he cannot receive a qualifying score. After bringing back the second bird, the dog is sent on the third and final retrieve. Now let's see if he remembers where that bird fell. If he stays in the same general area, diligently looking for the bird, the dog will get high scores for marking on this test. He does an excellent job and quickly picks up the scent of the third bird. He's got it. This test really demonstrated his hunting skills. The gunners are ready to go, and so is this lab as he takes his shot at the test. This first part, a water blind with some tracking, is really designed to test the dog's trainability. Trainability covers the hunting skills acquired through training, such as steadiness on line, control, response to direction, and proper delivery to hand. This dog took an excellent line from its handler and needed only a couple of commands to correct its position. Picks up the scent and tracks the bird up the knoll. He's got it, making a difficult blind look relatively easy. There's the diversion shot, but the dog again shows good trainability by not breaking. After picking up the second bird, the lab is sent on to the third retrieve, the diversion bird on the left. One of the great things about these AKC tests is their flexibility. Today, these judges simulated a quail hunt, some duck hunting action, partridge hunting, a dove hunt, and here in the master test, a combination. It's up to you and the judges to design tests at all three levels that best simulate your own local hunting conditions and techniques. The lab reaches shore and begins searching for the third bird. You know, one item the judges look for when scoring trainability is response. Response to handling is all important when the dog misses the mark and must be brought back to the fall. Here, the bird has worked its way down to the shoreline and is in the weeds on the bottom left of your screen. Let's see what it takes to get this dog to the bird. This dog is responding well to the handler's commands, and by his actions, you know he's picked up the scent and is near the bird. A dog that responds well to direction should take the original line given by the handler and continue on it until it makes the find or until it is given a new direction. There, he's got the bird and brings it home. This lab has done everything well and continues to show good trainability by properly delivering the bird to hand. Let's quickly review the 5 hunting skills the judges score when you test your dog at an AKC hunting test for retrievers. Marking, or memory, is the ability of a dog to accurately pinpoint and remember the location of a downed bird. Style makes for a pleasing performance and is apparent in every movement of the dog. It's reflected in its manner, its eagerness, and speed on retrieves. Nose is a term used to describe the dog's ability to scent out the location of a fallen bird. Perseverance is shown by a dog's determination to stick to it, complete the task at hand, systematically and aggressively searching for and finding the bird it has been sent to retrieve. Trainability covers the hunting abilities acquired through training, such as steadiness on line, control, response to direction, and proper delivery to hand. These are the 5 hunting skills judges score to determine whether your dog receives a qualifying score in any AKC hunting test for retrievers. The end of the test day, the awards ceremony. There's no placement. The dogs do not compete against one another, but everyone's a winner. Pass or fail, the dog's hunting skills have been evaluated, and everyone had a good time. Some handlers brought their 6-month-old dogs, tested them, and saw the areas that needed improvement. Others came from the AKC show, obedience, and field trial worlds. Many brought their purebred hunting retrievers, evaluated the dog's hunting skills, and added some nifty titles to their already solid hunting reputations. Everyone here loved him, hunted him, and tested him.
Heel! Heel! Okay. Go. No. No! Over.